It's Ivy Slater, and you're listening to Her Success Story podcast, a show where gutsy businesswomen share their success journey. Hi, this is Ivy Slater, and welcome to today's episode of Her Success Story. For those of you who are just joining us, this is one of my favorite times of year, especially in Her Success Story. We do a series, this is our 5th year doing this series on leaders in the nonprofit space. If you've listened to the introduction to this series, I talked a little bit about, for me personally, the holidays are about giving and receiving. So what's the greatest way to give? And that's to learn about ways to give, hence the birth of our nonprofit series 5 years ago. So today I have the honor and pleasure of actually introducing you to a kind of sort of neighbor of mine. Renee Daniel Flagler is the executive director of Girls Inc. of Long Island. She also currently lives in the town I grew up in, so we've had some lovely and lively conversations. You never know how you're going to meet people and how small the world is. But let me share a little bit about Girls Inc. and the mission that Renee has been leading. It is about empowering girls to be strong, smart, and bold. Renee is a 2017 Fellow of the National Nonprofit Executive Leadership Academy and also received a certificate in organization and community leadership for the Center of Nonprofit Leadership at Adelphi University of Social Work. Renee lives by the mantra, and listen, ladies and gentlemen, she lives by the mantra, service is our human duty. Hence, she spends much of her time serving her community. I could go on and on, read the rest in the show notes. Renee, thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to hang with us here at Her Success Story.
Thank you so much, Ivy, for inviting me to hang out. I appreciate it.
So, I'll always say it takes a special person in leading a nonprofit. So let me just start with, before we go into Girls Inc., ask you as a woman, like what led you down this path? Why nonprofits? Why? Because Lord knows we can get jobs that usually pay a lot more. Why was this? Why did this become your mission?
So yes, that's true. We so could. Well, I feel like the service was that whole mantra that I had come into was part of my life. And I didn't realize it until one day I recognized that, yes, this is our responsibility. And I think I got a lot of it from my mother. She was a servant at heart. She served her community. She served people. She served her church. She was very instrumental in just being a person who took care of other folks in so many different ways. As the eldest, she served her sisters and brothers. They all came from the South and stayed with her until they got on their own feet and then moved into other areas of the North. So I think she definitely set the example. I initially started my career in marketing. And after 9/11, it was like not a good time to be in marketing.
And it was, let's just, when we say Girls Inc. of Long Island, okay, many people might not be aware who listen to Her Success Story. Long Island is one of, is outside New York City area, right? It's one is part of, like, it has a lot of suburban communities, and you think suburban community makes it sound easy, but that's not necessarily true.
Not necessarily true. And many of the folks that live in these suburban communities work in Manhattan and, the city. And so I was one of those people. And after 9/11, it really shook up New York. I mean, the world, of course, but the job market. Yes. And so I got laid off several times, and the same happened with a lot of people in marketing and PR and advertising. It's one of the first budgets that get cut. And through that layoff, I'm a God's girl. I pray a lot, and I'm like, all right, what is my next step? What do you want me to do? I'm like, I have a lot of interest, things a lot of want to do, but where am I supposed to be? And I loved writing, and I didn't realize until in the midst of all of that craziness that writing was therapy. It was my passion. And so I decided during one of my periods of unemployment, I'm gonna do more of this, right? I'm gonna spend more time doing this. I ended up going back and getting another marketing job and met a woman who was working with one of the publications. And we both love to read. We became fast friends. I told her I write, and she was like, I'd love to see something. And I was like, sure. I bought her 150 pages of this novel that I was working on, and not to get published, but just because I love to do it. And she said, you have a marketable page turner. You need to do something with it. So that started this whole thing. So when I got laid off from that job, I kind of told them, like, I kind of laid myself off, kind of helped them out because I'd been used to it. And I'm like, I get it. It's not per needs, it's not personal, it's per needs of the business. But that sparked me going into my passion of writing. So it still worked, but I started writing, ended up publishing books, and I was asked to come and speak to a group of youth. They had said our kids had never met an author of color, and it would be great for them to meet you. And I went in and fell in love with my second passion, and that was working with youth. And that ended up starting this whole new journey of working with youth and teaching writing and doing workshops. And when I say youth, I mean every type of youth, from youth in lower income communities, runaways, pregnant teens, and group homes, schools, everything. And I was like, this is where I want to be. I want to work with youth. I want to impact lives. And I want to find a way to use my gift and writing to do that. And that led my total transition out of corporate and into nonprofit and working with youth full time.
So how did you connect to Girls Inc. and why did the mission of Girls Inc. resonate with you?
So I was working in nonprofit in New York City, all over the city, living in Long Island. But I was in different locations all the time, which was great. But I would get to the platform of like the A train and have to think about, what day is it? Am I going to Brooklyn or Bronx? So,
that's in New York City, 100% running around the city. Because I, as you said that, I've seen myself on a subway platform saying, wait a second, am I going uptown or down? Where's my next appointment? I'm not sure. Right.
Wait, what day is it? What time? Okay, yes, I'm going downtown. And so I loved the work. I had successfully completely transitioned out of corporate, working full time in nonprofit, as well as doing a lot of community work with organizations in the community. And this opportunity came across my email that Girls Inc. was looking for a program manager, someone to run programming. And I was like, okay, I already do programming. I have a lot of leadership skills and management skills from my days in corporate. I could do this. And I'm like, and it's in Long Island. I can drive to work. I don't have to get on the platform and try to figure out if I'm going uptown or downtown. So I said, I'm going to give it a shot. And God would have it that I literally applied for the opportunity on Monday and was being offered the position by Wednesday.
Wow.
And the rest is history. I was in the position of marketing manager for, I would say, about 13 months, and was asked to step into the role of executive director to lead the organization. I haven't looked back since. I've loved every minute of it because it truly is an amazing organization.
So now let's learn a little bit about Girls Inc. What the organization is about, a little bit about the mission.
Wonderful. So our mission is to inspire all girls to be strong, smart, and bold.
I'm going to say, hold on right there.
Stop right there.
To inspire all girls to be strong, smart, and bold.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yes to all of it. Right?
Yes to all of it. I'm in.
And it sounds wonderful, but that truly is the way that the organization operationalizes the mission. So strong is healthy living, smart is educated, and bold is independent living. So combined, that makes up the Girls Inc. experience. And it really speaks to the whole girl, where not only are we teaching them about healthy living, healthy mind, body, soul, navigating emotional wellness, social emotional learning, physical and nutritional health and wellness, taking care of their bodies, but we also teach about education. We have educational curriculum and things that reinforce and support the academic process. We have a very strong focus on STEM in order to help navigate girls into careers and opportunities that they may not have access or may not see, and to eventually bridge the gender gap in STEM fields.
Well, and that has to start with the younger generation. If it
Exactly.
doesn't start with the younger generation, then we can't make that change, because it's in the area, especially in STEM and technology, that
Hmm.
girls have to want to continue and have
Yep.
to see themselves as equals from, first grade, fourth grade, sixth grade,
Absolutely.
12th, ninth grade, 12th grade, and college.
Yep. And know it's for them. And but to first be exposed to it, to even
Right.
know that these are possibilities. And then our last area, bold, is really all about the life skills that bridge the gap between academics and successful living. So there's a lot that we get from school, but there's a lot that's left in this huge gap. We need to really be successful in life that a lot of girls don't necessarily get from home. And it doesn't matter what type of household they come from. It could be, your mom is a CEO or your dad's CEO, and they're flying all over the country and they don't get to spend a lot of time at home, or they're working three jobs to put food on the table. Either way, you know, everyone is not equipped with the skills. So those, what falls into that independent living skill set is curriculum such as economic literacy, college and career readiness and programming, advocacy, leadership and community action. And so all of these combined really help to speak to the whole girl in a way that, yes, we're working with the issues that girls are impacting. We're helping them realize their areas of brilliance and confidence. We're giving them skills. We're providing a safe mentor space. But those skills that we give them, the access to opportunity that we give them is really essential in a way that we're opening doors, opportunities, mindsets to things, and giving them real skills that they're going to use immediately. No disrespect to calculus, but I haven't used that yet. But I could have learned about credit, interest, banking. That stuff would have been way more useful.
It's funny you say that, because I remember, and I'm going back in the day when I was in high school. So back in the day, taking a math class on like life skills math, and again, we might not balance checkbooks, so to speak, anymore, but back in the day we did. And it had about credit and what interest rates were, and how to work a checkbook. And it was an elective where algebra and calculus and everything there was mandatory. And I remember taking that electives and saying, and I crushed it. I was like, this is like the greatest math I've ever taken. It's common skills. I'm going to need this. So I was so invested in it.
Right. And most of us don't get it. Don't
Right.
get that. It's not personal finance or understanding, credit and interest and banking, and even just the mindset around money, helping to shape the mindset, understanding the differences between wants versus needs, and how to budget and why budgeting, just so many financial skills that are useful every day without you having to be like a finance major.
So how do the girls find you? So who comes to Girls Inc? How do they find you? And are there qualifications? Is it community? Is it at a high schools? What are we looking at?
Yeah, so we serve K through 12, and we get access to the girls through our school programs, our camp programs, our workshops, and our girls conference. So in a lot of
Cool.
cases, the largest majority of the girls that we serve are in school districts. And although we serve all girls, we target districts and communities that are low and moderate income, because we know that the gap that exists between opportunity and is just much wider. So we about 70% of the girls that we serve come from communities that are underserved, under-resourced, and we work with the school districts to provide either in-school or after-school programs. Our next largest area of service to girls is our summer programs. We have week-long summer programs in various areas of curriculum and categories that would fall under Strong, Smart, and Bold. Our most popular one is our STEM program. We partner with Brookhaven National Laboratories, and the girls are bused to the lab to work directly with scientists, and they learn things like microbiology, astrophysics, robotics, coding, engineering research, studying viruses, DNA research. I mean, like hardcore sciences that is just so interesting. This summer they made houses and lit up the houses because they created circuitry, and it was just amazing.
Wow.
It was just amazing. And so we were super proud of those type of programs, because those are not the average programs that girls have access to in schools. I don't care what school district.
I was just going to say, it doesn't matter what school district, what, that's not, what you're exposed to. And
Exactly.
by exposing young women to that, they are looking at potential careers that they might never have thought of before.
Absolutely.
And that's where we start leveling that playing field in the long run.
Yep, absolutely. And besides that, so that's how we do programming, but we are also an advocacy organization. And I say that because it's really important to know that advocacy is actually what fuels a lot of our program areas. We teach STEM because we want to bridge the gender gap in STEM fields. We teach, economic and financial literacy because we don't want girls to become women who are, good earners, right? High earners, but then live out their elderly years near poverty because they didn't have an understanding of how to navigate and manage their funds and,
Correct.
Things like that. We teach advocacy so that we are able to show girls how to advocate for themselves, how to, advocate for their worth, whether it is in business, in relationships, whatever it is. And in an effort, those things will help to do things like close the gender wage gap, make sure that girls are earning at the same rate and men are earning for the same jobs and the same opportunities and things like that. So a lot of what we do is fueled by the fact that we are an advocacy organization looking to break barriers for girls.
And I love that. And I know some of that work, includes things like empowering girls to speak up and speak out for themselves, exactly. Understanding their worth and being able to communicate it in a beautiful way.
Yes.
So I know you also help girls advance, go from school, the lower schools up to higher education.
Mm-hmm.
And what have you seen? I mean, how many girls have gone through the program? What are you seeing on the other side of the impact Girls Inc. is making?
So we're seeing an increased level of just transitional or transformational living, right? So like I said, a lot of the girls that we serve are from lower income communities. And so we feel responsible of helping to navigate those transitions. So we partner with universities to do college tours. We have a partnership with Nassau Community College where a Girls Inc. girl every year will be able to go to Nassau Community College on a free ride, right?
So wow, that's big.
Absolutely. We provide scholarships. So we have a scholarship program. It's not huge, but it will definitely help a girl with transportation or books or, room and board or whatever it is. And we are now becoming even more intentional about tracking our girls and the progress. A lot of times our girls will go away to college and they'll come back and they'll work with us as interns during the summer, and they'll actually do peer mentoring and kind of help the girls that were like, where they used to be pull up. And we're just so proud of some of our alumni girls, whether they chose the college path or entrepreneurship or trade path, and some of them are doing some amazing things. I have one girl, just love this. She used to come back every summer to do the STEM camps, right? So, she was on this bus going to the STEM camp. So she would come back every year, ride the bus with the girls to go to the STEM camp. And one year she called us right before the pandemic. And she said, Miss Renee, I won't be able to join you this summer. I'm not coming home because I'm doing an internship. And she's like, I'm so sorry. And I was like, no problem. You tell me about the internship. She was like, well, I'm going to be interning with the CDC and in the area of epidemiology.
I just got chills through my entire body, because that's when you see, based on exposure and education and knowledge that we might not have gotten before.
Right.
What's possible? I mentioned that high school, business mathy class I took, but I also remember running out of high school biology because the thought of dissecting, it was like, I probably got a D. because I just couldn't deal with this whole biology thing. Yet, if we're looking at labs and being exposed to labs and you're seeing it from a different perspective, how we then learn and then expand our minds and what's possible for us is
Absolutely.
a huge impact.
It is such a huge impact. I told them, you don't worry about us. We're gonna be okay. You do your
Yeah.
CDC thing.
You go change the world via the CDC.
Exactly. So it's really, really interesting to watch. I mean, I have tons of stories like that of just girls finding themselves, their voices built, realizing we don't give them confidence. They realize their confidence. We, help them to uncover their strengths and just to see them blossom. I've seen girls go from like not speaking, would sit in the room and just take everything and not speak. And then, a year or two later, they're standing on stage in front of 600 people at our national luncheon addressing an audience of adults and telling them about the impact of Girls Inc. on their lives. And it's like, how do you get from the little girl in the room that won't even open her mouth and kind of shrugs her shoulders when you speak? And if she says hi, you can't even hear her voice. But now she's got this booming voice on a mic in front of a stage. Like it's such an amazing transformation to watch.
And I think one of the things you said is so impactful is we cannot give people confidence. We can't give women confidence. No. We go through the steps of earning confidence as we take actions, and you're giving them the platform to explore, take action, reflect back on themselves, take further action, and grow into their voice, their confidence, and then be spokeswomen for so many girls and have that ripple impact, on the national platform. And that will have that ripple impact on the global platform, because we all know we are living in a global world, and these girls are going to, in their careers, touch the global world significantly.
Yeah. Absolutely. And we talk about that all the time. Like, the world is in our backyard now. It's not, you could be sitting, here on Long Island or in Manhattan, and your team can literally be, anywhere from China to Africa to India to South America. It really is important because those experiences helps you to gain global competencies, cultural competencies, cultural intelligences, and just understand how to work with people in general. And even if you never leave your state, a state like New York, you're going to come in contact with everybody, every aspect of what is represented on this globe of ours. So, yeah.
So, Renee, how can our listeners who are like now incredibly intrigued go and learn more, step in more on the mentorship of young girls, knowing more about Girls Inc., from Girls Inc. in Long Island, if you're local, to Girls Inc. National?
I would say you could start with our website. There's a lot of information there. Next step, you can reach out to me directly through the website. Our website for Girls Inc. Long Island, there's 78 Girls Inc.'s across the country. And it's one of the oldest organizations, girl-serving organizations, because it was started in Connecticut in 1864.
Wow. I did not know that before this moment.
Absolutely. So with 78 chapters, you go to Girls Inc. LI for Long Island.org, girlsincli.org. That's our affiliate. We're all independently owned and operated, but we have an amazing network that works collectively to make sure that we are advocating for girls and advocating for equity. And you can contact me directly. I'm R. Flagler at girlsinclongisland.org. I know that's a lot, but it's on the website.
and all of these links are in our show notes, listeners. If you're saying, oh, where do I have that? Let me type this in. How did she spell it? It's in the links below. So you have access to all of this. And know, one important thing I want everybody, all the listeners, to realize, as we look for inclusion in our world today, it starts by education. And education starts with young people. And so the focus on young women and young girls and helping them expand their mindset and their impact will be the ripple effect as we continue to grow up and grow old through the years. So Absolutely. As much as we're looking in corporate on inclusion today, let's make sure we're actually educating from the young space of girls and their knowledge and what they're capable of, what's possible for them. And go that young lady who worked for the CDC, and maybe she can help make an impact as all the graduates of Girls Inc. and the future graduates of Girls Inc.
Absolutely. I couldn't have said that better myself.
Well, listeners, I'm going to close out her success story. So Renee and I can just talk about like growing up in Baldwin together, so to speak. Thank you for listening in. If this episode resonated with you, please share it forward. Please feel free to take that moment and leave in the notes the biggest impact by listening today. What did you take away from today? And what's the actual intention and action you're going to do with it? I love that people come in and join us and listen to her success story. There's tons of learning. There's tons of knowledge here. But always take that moment and say, what did I actually take away from me? And then what is the action I'm going to take that's going to make a difference in my life as well as others? Thank you for joining us at Her Success Story. Thank you for joining us and listening into the nonprofit series very much, a series that's very near and dear to my heart. And again, share it forward. Thank you. Stay tuned for more great interviews. See you next week.